check, check. Apai. Tēnā koutou, te hunga, he tati mai anō, i te wānei, kei here taunga, kei taupō, kei tūranga, kei ototahi. Nau mai, hala mai, pakatau mai e te iwi. Kia tau mai te mauri mai i runga, mai i raro, mai i waho, mai i roto. Te honana ora ki te whai au, ki te ao mārama, ti hei mauri ora. Welcome everybody, welcome to those here in Hastings, Hawke's Bay. Welcome to those also logging in Gisborne, Tūranga, in Taupō, and also in Christchurch. Just before I introduce the agenda, just a bit of housekeeping in terms of landlord duties. If we have an emergency, fire, earthquake, then please exit out these doors here that you came in, and we'll gather just on the grass area up against the horse railing. If you need to go to the toilet at any time during the course of the presentations, then by all means, the toilets are to my left, so in the door you came, to your left. If you're tāne, then there's a sign there called men. If you're wahine, there's a sign there called women. If you don't meet either of those categories, then I'm not sure what you need to do, but best of luck. Just in terms of the agenda today, I spoke on the 15th of March when we had Sir John Kirwan as a keynote speaker for us, that we would do this every quarter. And the reason it's important for the company and important for me is that we need to take time out as a business. We are busy. These are difficult times in terms of just inflation on the back of Gabriel, but also on the back of COVID. So it's really important that we take time for ourselves, and it's very important that the company organises some real experts, whether that will be in mental health, a la John Kirwan, whether that's about whānau, which we'll focus on in December, whether that's about what does spirituality mean for each of us in this room. It will have a different meaning, I accept that. And today we are very fortunate, very, very fortunate to have a gentleman who's going to talk to us about a bit about health and safety and well-being and stuff like that, but also, more importantly, from my point of view, about culture. And for me, culture overrides everything. If we get our culture right, then I'm less focused on rules and regulations and stuff like that. If we do the right stuff all of the time, then it doesn't matter what's written down in paper in front of you, because I'm guessing that at least half of the people in here don't enjoy reading. Some fellas putting their hands up, acknowledging that. But anyway, today we're very fortunate to have Wiremu Edmonds share his experiences with us. I've been fortunate, along with a few others in the room, to have been part of Wiremu's presentation. It will rock some of you. It will be emotional. But from my point of view, if that's what it takes to get us focused on looking after one another, then kei te pai tēnā. Caught up with Wiremu briefly before this meeting. Asked him about his whakapapa. That's important to me, as it is with a lot of people. Interesting enough, in terms of whakapapa, it doesn't matter whether you're Māori, Pacific Islander, Pākehā and stuff like that. There will be links all across our whakapapas. And so when I asked Wiremu, where's he from? He said, Makatū. And so anyone that's Te Arawa in here will know that that's where the canoe Te Arawa landed and probably the ancestral home place. So all those fellas with Te Arawa whakapapa, then you're connected to Wiremu on his wife's side. Wiremu's whakapapa is up north, Ngāpuhi, and also down to Te Whānau Apanui, around the coast, and Ngāti Porou and all of that area as well. So once again, I know there's a lot of people in this room that have connections to the far north, to Eastern Bay of Plenty, and Tairāwhiti as well. So once again, there's a connection there. Another connection I just found out today, he's going to Paris for the upcoming Olympics. And does anyone know, heard the name Gilbert Enoka? Gilbert Enoka was with the All Blacks for a long time. I think won 2 World Cups. He's Cook Islander. And the value that he brought to the All Blacks was around strength of mind. Getting All Blacks, like JK said, to believe in themselves, but to believe more importantly in the cause and to believe in what they stood for and stuff like that. So Wiremu, tēnā koe hoa, he's going to the Olympics to support or to help the New Zealand Sevens squads bring back a gold medal. Gold medal will be what they are looking for. They won't be thinking about silver or bronze, and he's a big part of getting those athletes right in their mind and their spirits and in their beliefs and stuff like that. So some people call him a health and safety expert. Many companies refer to him as their ambassador. I believe that probably something, he's a cultural champion. He's a spokesman for the people, for you guys. He keeps people like me on their toes in terms of commitment. I've said it to you guys before. Health and safety is the most important thing for me in terms of this organisation. It's not making money. That's important if we want to carry on in business. The only thing that will give me a problem at night, the only thing, is if any of you don't go home to your whānau and stuff like that. And so I talked to Wiremu, the only question that I only got one question to ask of you fellas about what I stand for. And it's a simple question: do you believe that I believe in getting you home at the end of the day? That's the only thing that matters to me. I don't care whether you like me or dislike me. But if you think that I'll stand with you, stand for you, so that you go home to your whānau, if anyone thinks the answer to that is no, then I haven't done my job well, and I might as well piss off. So, welcome here today, people. Take the opportunity to digest in terms of the Brother Wiremu's kōrero. And when we're finished, there'll be an opportunity for some questions and answers, but there'll also be, I don't know what the nature of the kai is, but there is some kai and there is some drinks for those that want to hang around after this. So, ka nui te mihi, ka nui te harawa, kia koutou katoa. Nau mai hara mai, Wiremu.
Boy, that's the flashiest introduction I've ever been given yet. Thank you, Charlie. No pressure. In 1976, high school sweethearts fell in love, and they came up with a plan. The young boy was 14, the young girl was 15, And they come up with a plan, and this was the plan. We'll run away from home. We'll leave school and we'll start a family. So that couple, they ran away from home. They left school and they went out and worked on a farm as farm hands. And when they were around 15, 16, 14, 15, by the time they hit 15, 16, the young man was driving the tractor, feeding out hay to the cows. The young lady sitting on the back, his girlfriend, he said to her, "Oh, can you hop off, open up the gate?" Gentleman, eh? Gets the lady to open up the gate. So she opens up the gate. As she opens up the gate, she rubs her puku, her tummy. She said, "Oh, I think it's time." The pair climb into a Valiant ute. For those that are young enough to know what those look like, the old column change. And they drove into Rotorua. An hour later, a little boy was born. That was me in 1976, when the world was blessed with one of a kind. You see, my mum and dad were only young there. I was raised in that little house there. My mum and dad didn't have much. We didn't have much in my upbringing. But I had a mum and dad, and that was important. Still got my mum and dad today. They're still together too, 48 years later, but they've been together nearly 50. See, my mum and dad, they were kids themselves, and they had to come up with a name for me. I come from a long line of fighting chiefs and beautiful names in our whakapapa, as Charlie had alluded to. I'm a bit closer to Hastings too, because our whakapapa to flex me. If you know any Edmonds that are in flex me, there's all our whānau in flex me. But my father had to name me, so he named me after a Chinese. So my birth name is Lee. So I was named after Bruce Lee. Yeah. That's how creative my dad was. He must have been hungover or something. So he names me after Bruce Lee, so I look English, I'm Māori, but I'm named after a Chinese. How's that for culture? If you think that's bad, my sister's name is Stallone. Dad liked Rambo at the time. There was no those scans back then, no scans. So she was meant to be a boy, came out a girl. Dad said, "Oh, well, too bad, your name is Stallone." And she had to put all the blue clothes on and the red clothes and all of the boy colour clothes on. So that's what we were named. So I got two sisters, just me. I'm the only boy. I'm the oldest of the family, and so on. So because I loved this fella so much, I wanted to be like my dad. I started calling him Dad. And so I took up martial arts, and by the age I was 12, I had a black belt second dan in martial arts, and people are in the country, they, "Oh, who's this Māori boy? We'll send him to Australia and fight him in Australia." So they put me on a plane to represent New Zealand and fight the Australians. And so I went to a place, you know where King's Cross is? Yeah, we're not there. Just down the road a bit, and a place, Redfern. So I went there and fight the Aussies. Problem was, though, is in my upbringing, I didn't really have good manners and I had no ears. So when it come to the critical rules of the tournament, I broke with them all and got disqualified. Unfortunately, got put back on a plane, flown back to Rotorua, or via Auckland, back to Rotorua, and then sadly had to go back to school. When I went to school, I was 13 at the time by then, third form. I'd done really well at Western Heights High School, only lasted 3 years. And then my dad said to me, "Son, you're not going to be an academic, you're thick ass, bro." I was like, "Oh yeah, what does that mean?" He said, "Go down, see the lady in the office, hand in your notice, get one of those cards, you're finishing school today." "Oh, okay." So I go to school, hand in my notice, tell the lady, "Oh, best day of my life, miss. What's that? I'm leaving school today." "You can't leave school. Your parents need to give consent." "Yeah, no, they already have. They told me that's my last day today. I'm off." So I left school, shot home. Dad come home from the bush. "Boy, did you hand that notice in?" I said, "Yeah, told the teacher no more school for me." He goes, "Oh, that's good. Get a job tomorrow." I said, "Well, what am I going to do?" He said, "I don't know. You can work that part out." "Crackies, boy, I got work in the morning. But one thing you won't be doing, you're not going on the dole." That's what he told me. So I had to quickly think of what I was going to be. So I come up with this plan. Well, I don't want to be a bushman, because my dad's a bushman. And I only saw him from Monday to Thursday. He got paid on Thursday, don't see him till Sunday, if you know what I mean. Back then, you used to get the brown envelopes with the pay slip inside, and you got paid cash. Well, back then, Dad had the first pick of the money. Well, it didn't come back the same to the home on Sunday the way you got it on Thursday, eh? Now it's the roles are different now. The wahine gets the card and it's automatic through the banking. So the brothers get the leftover now. But anyway, I didn't want to be a bushman, so I thought I'd be something else. So I became a carver. And I graduated at, it's called Te Puia now, but it was the New Zealand Māori Arts and Crafts Institute. I carved this when I was 17. This is a taurapa that sits on the back of a war canoe of my ancestors. I carved this in an exhibition for Queen Elizabeth. That's the real queen, not one of the aunties from the marae. Hey, according to them, they're all queens. They're all drama queens. Hey, but that's what the Queen Elizabeth, she wanted to come to Rotorua, wanted to experience witnessing Māori indigenous men carving our indigenous art. So she came in, and there was cops everywhere. There was the bomb squad, there was detectives, there was the dog handlers and everything. And I couldn't understand what's all the fuss. It's only the Queen. But what it was half of the whānau were excited she was there. The other half were not excited, if you know what I mean. Flying a few flags around outside, telling her to politely go home. So we were sort of stuck in the middle as young Māori carvers. And so we were thinking, oh, my, this is awesome. We never met anybody from England before. This is a lovely day. So we were carving away there. The tutor said, boy, Wiramu, when the Queen comes to you, you've got to address her as Her Majesty. I said, yeah, no, I've seen it on TV. He said, boy, this is not a TV show. This is real life. She's outside waiting. I said, no, we got it. Don't worry about it. We're all sorted. Well, she comes up to me and she goes, how are you, young man? And they're polite. Yeah, and they're a little lady too. I said, oh, kia ora, kas. And my boss was like, oh, one job. And I sort of looked at my boss. He gave me a dirty look. Oh, dear, sorry, auntie. Oh, fuck. So I'm just making it worse for myself. But anyway, long story short, I became a carver. I carved for the Queen and carved the taiaha for Nelson Mandela when he visited. And then I carved the Poutuarunga with two of the brothers in the New Zealand in the New Zealand Army. And Wauru, there's a carving there in the wharenui at the Poutuarunga right at the back. Me and my brother, two of my brothers carved that when we were about 18. Then I shot over to Japan, carved a 7-foot waka in 7 days for the mayor of Sodor Island. Yeah, so by the time I was 21, I had sort of done all of that stuff. And then take my clothes off and put a pupu on at night time, perform a couple of numbers for the tourists. They get paid $20 an hour back then. That was big money back then. You can get a bread, milk, daily post, fill up the wheels for the whole week, and then have a good time with a couple of the brothers in the clubs and sweet ass, you know. That was all on $20 back then, not now. And then I had a girlfriend at the time. She passed the test, so I married her. We started having a few children. I thought $20 an hour was good rate, but you're only working one hour a week, so that had to change. So, you know, but I was living a beautiful life, and that's what I become. And then what happened is I had to get a real job because I tried to become a tutor as a carver and a teacher, but they said, oh no, you're too young and all of these other sort of stuff. So I'll put the carving to the side and I'll go and be what my dad is. So I become a bushman. So I bring the knowledge of a bushman to you. This is my industry. I'm not a good builder. I tried to build a dog box the other day for our pig dogs and that was a shambles. So I'm not really a good builder or a painter. Can't put a driveway down in any of that. But when it comes to the bush, I know how it all rolls in the bush. So today, what I'd like to do is talk to you about culture, leadership, together, but I'd like to do it through the eyes or the lens view of a bushman. What does that mean is I'm hoping that when you walk out of here today, you'll be able to think about, some of that kōrero that Wiremu was giving us, that actually resonates to what happens with us on our work site. That's what I'm hoping will happen. First of all, that's me cutting a tree down. Can you turn to your brother or your sister next to you or behind you, in front of you, have a little kōrero, and what I'd like you to do is see if you can identify any risks that I'm taking as you look at that photo. Give it heaps to. I've got big shoulders. Where you go. And I'll get some feedback. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Who wants to go first? Call out what are the risks. Anybody go first?
You've got your eyes on the job.
Haven't got my eyes on the job. Where's my eyes? Looking away. Looking at what? Hey, it's a sort of like a bit of a striking pose. Yeah, not looking at what I'm doing.
No clear escape route.
Ooh, you ex-bushman. That's a bushman term, escape route. Yep, no clear escape route. Anything else? No face mask, no eye wear, anything else? Where's the cameraman? That's not a selfie stick, eh? Because that wasn't around back then, the selfie sticks. Those were those yellow Kodak cameras, the little square one, take it to the shop and they developed them. That's, and was that a young fellow or old fellow that was taking the photo? It gets you thinking now. But here's the thing, I want to talk to you a little bit about culture first, before we get a little carried away. Training and competency, I'm a 4th generation bushman. My father was a bushman, my grandfather, my great-grandfather from Ngāpuhi. All bushmen. If we weren't bushmen, we become shearers. So, as a 4th generation bushman, who trained me? Family. So when a supervisor comes on site and tries to tell me how I should be doing things, how does that conversation go down? Not what the dad said, eh? So what the true culture is blood's thicker than water. So it didn't matter who preached health and safety to me. If it never come from dad, uncles, or anyone in the bloodline, it didn't really matter. But when it come to training, while dad and the family trained me, they were also the ones to put the stamp of approval on to say you're now competent to do the job. That's how it all flowed back then. That was before assessors and all of the, what carried with all the training and now requirements now. You can't even put your shoe on properly without being trained to do that. But back then, she was either sink or swim. You either got it or you don't. You sleep in one morning, you don't wake up the next because you ain't getting picked up. That's just how it was back then. It was hard and fast and you just had to survive. When you look at resources, I'm not wearing eyewear. Uncle doesn't wear eyewear either. So when the boss comes up and says, boy, where's your eyewear? What do you think I say? Did you ask Uncle where his is? Don't worry about him, boy. I'm asking you. Or if you're asking me, then how come you haven't asked Uncle? And then in the meantime, you're getting threatened to shut up, otherwise you get hiding too. So you got all of those dynamics and culture to try and deal with. You're trying to stick up for yourself. You're trying to point out the obvious, but you're getting ready to run before you get a whack around the ears as well. So she was pretty full on. But the problem is, though, is that if Uncle didn't have eyewear, I then follow suit. What's the culture now? Monkey see, monkey do. So now the boss is really scratching his head going, how the heck do I get in this young fella's head? He's half asleep half the time. I'm not half asleep at all. It's just that the people that trained me, I believe so much in what they trained me. They said I'm the one to do the job, so I believe that. And I follow my uncle, I follow my dad and all the bloodline on how they walk, how they breathe, how they eat, and how they sleep, and how they drink. That's just how it goes. Culture. It's just the way we do things around here. Anybody got a problem with that? Well, go somewhere else. But that's how hard it was. And then when you have a look at my belief system now, is it a young fella taking the photo or is it a older fella taking the photo? What do you think? Why young? Standing in the wrong place, but you got to think about it for a moment. It's an alpha mentality going on in the photo. If I'm the senior bushman now, I ain't going to get another senior bushman to take a photo. You get a young fellow who has no idea to stand there, wouldn't you? Because he doesn't question anything. The problem is when he becomes a senior bushman, who's taking a photo of him? monkey see, monkey do. But how could you blame me? My father taught me about pecking order, 4 o'clock in the morning, mummy making breakfast, him and I sitting down at the table. Do you ladies still make dad breakfast at 4 o'clock in the morning? No? No? What's wrong with you? Yeah. I just can't get my head around why they don't anymore. But 4 o'clock in the morning, Mum give us breakfast. Dad just says to me, boy, when you get to the van, you sit where you're told to sit. You don't sit where you want to sit. Pass me the salt. None of this, love you, son, have a good day today. Oh, proud of you, my boy. Gee, you know you're going to... None of that kōrero. It was just sit where you're told to sit. Pass the salt. That was it. When you really think about that, though, what's the recognition and the reward for me? What was the recognition at the reward at the end of the working day? At the end of what kept me engaged for so long as a bushman? What was...
You might have your own seat and be able to sit where you want.
Yeah, dead right. In fact, I can stand in the pub wherever I want to. Because that's what the era was back then. Because the recognition and the reward for me was this. I wear a 100% woolen bush shirt straight on my skin. A lot of people can't wear that anymore. I still dress like that today. And a lot of people can't because it's too itchy. But my dad taught me how to wear it. It's not about the woolly that's itchy. You got to wash it in nappy and cuddly soap powder first before you wear it. Why? It's the starch that makes the skin itchy, not the wool. So you wash it a couple of times in the washing machine, hang it out to dry, put it on, it's just like polar fleece. But what the shop's done is they come in with polar fleece and convinced us all that polar fleece was the latest technology, take the wool off. Hey. So I go in with a 100% woolen bush shirt on, jeans, steel cap boots, tattoos all over my arms, walk to the bar, ask for a couple of bottles of Waikato because that's what my father drank. I hated the stuff. I like rum and coke instead. But anyway, I've got to be like Dad. So I get 2 bottles of Waikato. We go back to the bar, Lena. I put a 50 cent on the pool table. It was 50 cent, $2 now. And then I go up, put the other 50 cent in the jukebox, play Dad's favourite song. Then I go back to the table. Pour Dad a beer. Pour my beer. Make sure there's no froth in it, eh? Otherwise, that's another whack. And then, cheers, Dad. Then we have a drink. And after you finish, about probably 10 bottles later, then you ask Mum for a ride home because it's too drunk to drive now. Dad is. So we got to get Mum to drive all the way to come and pick us up now. And that's what we do. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then go back home Monday. Now you probably, what I want to ask you today is who believes that I'm right here in the way I was living the culture as a bushman? Put your hand up if you believe I'm right. I've got a few supporters there. Who believe I'm wrong? Ooh, I don't think we're really good at maths either because hey, only a few put up for right. No one put up for wrong, so everybody else must be I don't know. I think we're in the same class at school. But what about we just say this? Whether you think I'm right or wrong, this is what I believe was true. It was my reality. So really, when people came in to question it, it was just the way of life in the crew. But that's something for us to really think about in your mahi. You know, what's the reality for you? If a stranger like myself was to walk in to your crew, what is it that you example? What is it that you show me? What type of culture you have? Because I'll be quick to see where it all sits, which it wouldn't take me long at all to work out how it all flows here. Because you'll show me that in your words, you'll show me that in your actions, but it'll all come from the way you think and what you think about each other and what you think about the family that you work for. Sadly, 95% of our injuries as bushmen, it all come from our behaviour, my dad's behaviour, everybody in the crew's behaviour. Because 85% of our behaviour was driven by what workers believe leadership was communicating to us and what was most important to the business. I haven't really, in the 28 years I've been working with people, I haven't had a leader stand up from today and say, I got one question, do you believe that I'll look after you? Because leaders don't normally ask that question. What they do is they do everything else and they hope that you believe that they look after them. Because that question there that Charlie asked you today, that's a bit confronting for leaders, because now it holds them accountable to what you think about, what you see and what you talk about too. But I'm here to talk about this, stand in the gap, and what that means. I love telling stories. Most of them are true, depending where we are and who we're talking to. This is a true story, 1866, 2 neighbouring tribes over in America, in Wyoming. The Shoshone people, led by this man here, Chief Washike, he owned all the hunting rights. He built his family's homes all on that land. Big Robber and the Crow, they were living next door, but what they wanted to do was hunt over the boundary line. So what Big Robber done is he went over, got his people together, and they started hunting new land. But it was the Shoshone people's land. So Chief Washike heard about this, so what he did is he said to his scout and his wife, I want you both to go down and talk to Big Robber, ask him to move. He can't hunt, this is our land, there's not enough kai here for all of us. So what he done is they go down, Big Robber, he killed the scout, and he said to the wife, go back, get your chief, let's go to battle. So they go to battle, 3 to 4 days, many children, women, men were killed upon that land all over hunting rights. People still fight over hunting rights now. And yet, this was back in 1866. Chief Washike had had enough, he had lost too many of his family and friends. He said to Big Robber, I'll tell you what, Sunshine, younger opponent, you and I will pick our favourite horse, a lance and a shield. I'll meet you at the top of that mountain and we will fight for it. Winner take all. He stood in the gap for his people of what was important to him. So they go there, 45 minutes later, they rumble, and then Chief Washike kills Big Robber, cuts his heart out according to his culture. He raised it in the air and renamed that mountain Crow Heart Butte in 1866. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, what on earth has that got to do with us, Wiremu? Well, it's got everything to do with you. Because while that's a battle of life, we must consider what are some of the battles that you and I are faced with daily, whether it be on the work site, whether it be within the 4 walls of our home, whether it be within our families or our friendship groups, whether it be in our communities, whether it be on our marae, whether it's for our people or not. Every day you and I will be required to go to a battle. The key is, though, is when you're required to go to the battle, it's important you have principles that keep you anchored so you can fight long and hard. That's the key. So I just wanted to share 3 principles around leadership with you today. The first is around protection. Here's the thing. Only you know what you're prepared to protect. Only you know. You can share that feeling with your brother or your sister, but deep down, the integrity remains with you, behind the closed doors when no one else can see. Only you know what you're prepared to protect. If me and my brothers here were working on a work site, I would have to make that decision. I know I'm prepared to protect my wife and children, but ultimately, this is not my wife and children. But because they're not family as such, am I now drawing a line between us? That's the question we've got to ask. Because ultimately, the consequences are, if anything happens to my wife and children, how do you think I would respond? Accordingly, right? Would I not respond accordingly if anything happens to my brother on a work site? I think the answer would be yes. No lines will matter then. See, but the sharpness of a leader is not to actually wait for all of that to happen and then go, oh man, I should have changed something. The ability and the sharpness of a leader is to be able to discern what's coming, not to wait for Dr. Hindsight to turn up to the incident and go, oh, we should have done this and that. Actually, we'll do that next time now. It's to be able to have the ability to discern what is coming and switch the play here before it arrives. That's the key of leadership. The second principle is around defense. So when I come, brother, if I come onto your work site, what defences would you have in place that gives me the best chance to go home? I got a wahine, I got 5 children, I've got 4 grandsons. I need to go home to them. I'm asked to come onto your site to work with you. What defences do you have in place for me?
Start with positive communication.
Positive communication. The days of swearing at one another are gone, eh, brother? That didn't help any of us, eh?
We'll equip you with some PPE.
PPE gear. So communication and PPE gear. So communication is a defense when it's had. The devil in communication, though, is the assumption that it's been had. I thought I told him. I thought I told the sis. That's the devil in the communication, is to make the assumption it's been had. PPE gear is another beautiful defense, but only when it's worn correctly. Even when the boss isn't there, like I wear. Last time I checked, you and I only get 1 pair of eyes. After that, it's a glass one, if we're lucky. Or you mightn't get a glass one, it's only down to 1. You know, little things like that. Another defense, my brother. What's another defense? If it's communication, PPE gear, you got another one? Hey, same. Hey, brother, got another one?
You get inducted.
Get inducted. So an induction is another beautiful defense when people are inducted. But when the process is skipped, that's no longer a defense. Put your hand up if you're Māori or Polynesian in the room. Quite a large number, eh? To skip an induction is like to walk straight on the marae without the karanga and the whaikōrero. You just walk straight on and you go straight to the wharekai and have a kai. I know you know that sounds odd and you wouldn't do it, eh? Well, the induction process is the same. The moment you skip the induction process, same. You've just walked straight onto the marae. No one's welcomed you on. You've just made yourself at home, but you don't even know what's going on among the people. So it sounds so foreign to us that way, and yet it's quite acceptable if we miss an induction at mahi. These here are also some defences if you didn't realise. Leadership, all things rise and fall on leadership. Training and competency, are you trained to do the job? Yes, you might be trained to do the job, but are you actually competent in doing the job? 2 different things, but go hand in hand. It's a defense. Attitude, this is the one thing that nobody can teach you. You've got to bring the A game yourself. Only you can make a decision to bring the attitude to work. Communication, as the brother said, defense. Investigating, reporting incidents is defense. I want to put this to you. Put your hand up if you've got children. Put your hand up if those children are at the age of going to parties. I've heard a few, "Ooh." Yeah, I'm at that stage too. I've got a 15 and a 16-year-old girl. You know, time to shine up the old shotgun. But here's the thing. You know all the parties we've gone to, but we're parents now, and we've become a little wiser. Do we share that information with our children to help them understand where all the sort of holes are and to be careful of this and be careful of that? Is that what we do as parents? Well, I do all the time. Maybe I'm a bit odd. But we do, right? How come then when it comes to work we mightn't be so passionate about investigating and reporting things at mahi? But we're so passionate about warning our children where all those incidences are. Oh, don't do that, boy, because this is what happens in that scenario. All of a sudden, around about 11, 12 o'clock, that's when people start playing up on the beers. People start getting jealous of wahine and all this, and fighting starts happening. Comes home from the party. Gee, Dad, man, you were bang on. How did you know? Oh, we won't talk about that one, son. But that's the same. But when it comes to work, guess what we say at work? How about you knocked on me? No, I didn't knock, brother. I only spoke up because I love you. No, brother, you don't love me. You went and told the boss that I was doing this. I was shortcutting this. That's not love. Brother, I spoke to you 4 times about doing that and you didn't listen. So I had to go somewhere else. It's either I do that or I come to your marae for 3 days. Which one do you want? Or do I wait for a chopper to come in? Which one do you want? Or do I wait for the ambulance to come in? Which one do you want, my brother? Be clear with me. Because if you want that, ka pai, I'll go to another site. But if you don't want that, then you don't mind me speaking up. And that's the way we've got to really think, you know. And then if we have a look at loyal, are we really loyal? This is what you tell me in your book and on your websites, is that loyal, reliable, straight up, driven and fair are a part of your value base. So they say a value is not a value until it's tested. Once the value has been tested, and if you come through the other end, ka pai, then you know it's definitely a value. So if you want to test loyalty, it's me and the sister, we're working on the same site, I'm taking a shortcut, will she speak up? If she was to speak up, the old brothers are going, yeah, no, she will. So if she was to speak up, what is she being loyal to? Hey, not only is she being loyal to the whānau or the company, she's being loyal to me because she's got my back. That's what we say we do. When we talk about straight up, can we handle the straight up conversation? Can we handle the crucial conversation? Even when it's uncomfortable. When we're about to reveal the uncomfortable truth and the inconvenient fact of the matter of what we might be doing and taking a shortcut. That's why the conversation is crucial. It's not just another talk. It's because, brother, I'm about to talk to you about something that's going to become very uncomfortable for you. Brother, this is the procedure. This is what I saw you do. What do we need to do differently to come back into line? Oh, sorry, brother, I was just a little bit hungover and just sort of missed the beat on it. Okay, brother. Well, what do we do the next time that happens? Leave you home? Because that's being fair, eh? The last one is courage. You see, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Marriage taught me that. A wife teaches you that. Even when you don't want to be taught, it still gets taught to you. Courage above all things is the first quality of a warrior. Now, here's the thing about courage. A lot of people have said to me over 28 years, oh, bro, I don't think I've got the courage to speak up. So I say, oh, okay. Well, I think you do. Actually, I believe you do. They say to me, oh, where's the proof? And I said, okay. You know where you sit? Yep. Let's go back 29 generations. It took 4,000 ancestors to exist to allow you to breathe today. Over 29 generations. Did you know that? 4,000 ancestors it requires over 29 generations for you to breathe today. Now you can't tell me over those 4,000 ancestors, not one of them stood up for something that was right and true. So what that means now is that everyone's whakapapa, everyone's genealogy, no matter where we come from or what our native tongue is or native land is, everybody has courage embedded inside their DNA. That's the point I'm making. So if we think we don't have it, I would say this, oh no, you do have it. We just got to flick the switch to bring it out of you. That's the trick. These are my children. Oh, and my wife, she helped. But this is, these are our 5 children. I'll introduce you to them. What I'll do is I'll open up the doors of my home, be a little vulnerable, show you a little bit around my family. This is our oldest boy, Robert. This boy, no matter what he touches in sport, turns to gold. He's just one of those naturals. Has a beautiful wahine, our daughter-in-law, Sapphire, and this is our oldest grandson, Thomas. This boy, not only is he a sportsman, he's a pig hunter, plays league for Pigiao, etc., etc. That's the oldest, the mātāmua of the family, the oldest boy. Followed by a girl. This is the drama queen. I mean that in a nice way. Drama, loves acting, beautiful voice, can sing, but she can also knows how to make children too. She got 3 of them. So this is our daughter Talia, oldest of the girls. This is our boy Whanarua. So Whanarua, this boy here is, he's a boxer. From a young age, he taught him how to fight. From the age of 7, he won Golden Gloves, went over, fought him in Australia, etc. Long story short, that's the only thing that he's learned to do as a sport. But this year is the first year he's taken up league down in Kaiapoi. He enrolled himself in a team down there because he's just moved down there to go to university, and he's playing for the Northern Bulldogs, I think it's called. So he's down there. But he's a boxer, right into his kapaka, performed at regional, national level in Matatini and that, hunter, diver, fisher, gatherer, etc., etc. Got a wahine, no children yet. Damn. He's going the opposite way. He's going to university first, then have children. I've been trying to tell him since he was about 8, no, children first, then go and get you an education, son. You got to run backwards. You're breaking the cycle. My wife was telling me, shut up. And then we had another little girl. Her name is Johanna. And Johanna, named after my mum, Johanna, named after her father, Johannes, straight out of the Viking bloodline. So not only am I Māori, I also descend back to Sweden through my grandfather, who's full-blooded Swede, through the Viking bloodline. And this is our little girl. She boxes also, right into her hunting, as you can see there. I was meant to take her to netball on that day. That's why she's got sand shoes on. We had a bit of a detour, missed her game, got her growling, but anyway, we got a couple of pigs. And then she's also been in kapaka. She was the youngest that performed at Matatini in Auckland. At the age of 14, I think it was, she made the senior kapaka group for Te Hekinga Arangi. So that's our baby Johanna. And then we had one more, Danielle. She hates hunting. She loves pets, wants to work for the SPCA and show everybody their pig hunts in jail. Well, that's including me. And then, but she likes to do modelling. And this is a photo that she had submitted to that ladies magazine, Vogue. You fellas read that, Vogue? She entered that competition for Vogue, and she was named in the top 3 throughout the world. And it was this one here, a bit of a Māori Viking cross photo. So that's my family there. Perfect family? Absolutely not, but a family that fights for one another and for what we stand for. But this family also has defences, and these are some of our defences. We have a family home evening once a week. You know what that is? That means no work, no friendship, no phone, no social media, nothing overrides the family. Family over everything. Bloodline over everything. So we make sure that day is dedicated to just the bloodline and that we keep that bloodline strong. We have family council once a month. In Te Aroha, only men can speak. And the oldest. But in my home, I'm the king of the castle. I say who speaks, and I say everybody has a voice. My baby, right through to the oldest, my wife and me. Everybody's equal there, not on the marae. We're in the home. And so when you're in the home in your own castle, you get to dictate what happens, eh? So we have a family meeting once a month to keep everybody sharp. How are we all doing? What's working well? Not so well. What can we do to improve? We have date nights. My wife, she always wants to go away and go to hotels and all of that. My date nights are pretty boring. I said, no, we're hunting. She goes, oh, we done that last week. Oh, we're going to do that again. So I will go for a dive or we'll go for a fish. So I have boring ones as far as she's concerned. We have parent discussions also, one-on-one with the babies, because some of the babies don't want to talk about some of their things in front of their siblings, so we have a bit of a one-on-one call. It'll see our babies and the ma and son and the ma. And then we always make sure, a bit like the Waltons, we always sit down at the dinner table and have dinner together at the end of every day. No TVs in the room. No going to the room, take your kai into the room. This is the whare kai. We all eat in the whare kai. You don't take the kai in the whare nui, do you? No, Papa. Okay then, we'll bring the kai out of the room. We have it in the whare kai. This is where we eat. Bit old school, eh? But it works for us. Those are our defences. But the defences are no different to mahi. You know, the family home evening is just like building culture. If you come down, investigating, reporting, strengthening leadership, one-on-one meetings, toolbox meeting is like what happens at the table. Same. But I want to ask you a question. All those that have children, can you put your hand up again? Okay, my brother here, just at the back there. My brother, son or daughter? 2 daughters and a son. Are they working yet? Or not quite? They're quite young. If they, one day when they go to work, how far away are they from working?
One's about 3 years away.
3 years away? How old is that one?
She's just turning 15.
Oh, she's ready to work now. Actually, she's about 10 years behind. She should have started at 5. So, 3 years away. Well, let me ask you this question, brother. When she starts her mahi, just like how you go to mahi, but when she starts mahi, do you think she has a right to go home to you as a dad, family? So you'd want to make sure that the whānau she goes to work for is sharp, eh? That they got all their defences in place, eh? But you know what? Equally so, I think our tamariki, if they had a voice and could speak up, they probably want to wish that for you too, Dad, to make sure you come home, eh? But, brother, I believe in that wholeheartedly, but that never happened for me.
Okay, so they address the emergency.
Could we have an ambulance deal with? That's what he did. You were actually a booking crew.
Okay. Don't worry, I actually won. Okay. So tell me exactly what's happened.
I think a man's been shot by a tree.
Now, are you with him now?
I'm actually down the hill.
Okay, no worries.
Somebody with him up the top of the hill.
No worries. Now, how old is he?
He's about, how old's what, bro? Probably about 25.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
had it at the ring.
Right, so they don't call it in.
Yeah, I don't know what state he's in, bro.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. Alright?
I think it's pretty serious, too.
Yep, I understand. Okay. Okay. Now, is there any serious bleeding? Or, as I said, if you don't know the answers, then don't be stressed about it. You
I
know?
don't know.
No. Okay. Okay. And was he completely alert?
What do you,
Was he able to talk? Was he able still under the drink? Okay. Can you confirm for me that he is still breathing?
No, it's not really good.
Okay.
You know, our son, he went to work just like you. And as a family, we trusted the family he went and worked for, that they would have everything in place for him. They were running a couple of work sites at the time. He got left behind, miscommunication. The van didn't pick him up. So he jumps in his ute and he goes to the work site that he thinks he needs to be at. So he gets there. The boss pulls up behind him. Doesn't ask him why he's late. Just says, boy, grab your gears. You need to get up there and start falling trees. We're behind. Production before people, way. So he gets his gears. He goes up. The boss, the same boss, he gets into an excavator and he comes up and he tries to take a shortcut up a ridge here and he blew an O-ring. So then when he blew the O-ring, he brought the excavator back to the road. He goes into Rotorua, he gets the part, comes back. Everybody has had smoko. They're all gone back to where they were put. How do we know that? Because I know that our son had food and drink in his body in the autopsy. Bit of a sad way to find out whether someone's had smoko, eh? And then he climbs into his excavator and he goes around the road and he parks the machine here. And when he parks there, there's 2 trees that are standing like this. Thinking and having a look at it, our son is down to his right. So what he does is he grabs the first tree and he cuts the first tree down. He gets away with it. He then moves the excavator closer to our son. He grabs the second tree. The second tree was different to the first tree because it had a staunch lean towards our son. Now, you might have exclusion zones or things like that where you've got to keep a distance from where people are working. But in the bush, what we have is a 2 tree length rule. What that means is if I cut a tree down and it's, say, 35 metres long, times that by 2, that's the distance someone has to be before they can start working outside of your area. You with me? Well, the boss come within 1 tree length. Actually, he came within 3/4 of a tree length. So rather than him, so when he grabbed the tree, rather than checking, what he done is he communicated to 2 workers down the hill by radio to ask where our son was. And they said he was at the end of a track. Well, how many ends are at a track, on a track? So which end? But because they didn't check what end, what the boss done, because of time, he decided to cut the tree anyway. And as he cut the tree fell down and hit our son. And how it hit him is it hit him on top of the head, smashed his skull, broke his neck, straight down to his tailbone, and blew all the vital organs inside of his body. Or because of what? A tree. Or because of a tree. Where there's millions of trees in this country, only one of a boy. Now, many of you are probably thinking to yourself, gee, that's strange. I've never seen a presenter carry a backpack on his back when he's talking. What's the backpack for? Well, I'll show you what the backpack's for. Because this is the only thing that I have left of him. A smashed helmet. In the original exhibit bag come from the police. His blood's still on it. This helmet here was put inside of a council rubbish bag, inside of a car boot, driven to our local marae. My wife and I were called out of the wharenui, and the police officer gave it to us as a gift. Said, this is your son's belongings. In the other rubbish bag was all his clothes covered in blood that he was wearing that day, a chainsaw that was now smashed into pieces, a wedge belt, and his helmet. So that's what's in this bag. And it's all that's left of our boy, and some memories along the way. Poor crew culture, my way or the highway leadership, systems and processes not followed, unclear communication, no RT radio. Do you know how much an RT radio is in a shop? Someone will say to me, oh, it's about $600, brother. I'll say, nah, it's a life. Because if our son had one, he'd probably be here today. When someone says to me, oh, what's the value of communication? I say, our life. When someone asks me, oh, what's the value of the safety system we follow or the procedure we follow, brother? What's the value of that? What's that in dollars? I say, oh, I don't know, brother, I can't count. I can only count to 10. But I will tell you, though, if it's not followed, it can cost a life. Well, how do you know? Been there, brother. If you want to go there, welcome to my club, welcome to my world. I'll show you how it all goes. I'll show you what life looks like after it. I'll show you what it does to a marriage. I'll show you what it does to siblings. I'll show you how it splits a community. I'll show you how it shatters friends. I'll show you. I'm an expert in all of that because I've walked it. But I don't know how to count the dollars at the table if that's what you're putting in front of it. These 2 boys here, no more Christmas together. Brothers. For those that have got brothers, you will understand what I'm talking about. I don't have a brother. And I'm one son down too. So that don't help either. Brothers don't pig hunt anymore. You know, every time we go to Kaingaroa and every time we do the beats that our son does, it always starts with a tangi first. Hey, why can't we just be like other hunters and just get on with the show? Why is it that we always got to drop a tear every time we go and do that beat? Well, unless you know the backstory, then people will understand. But this boy here that's holding the taiaha here, he's the youngest of the siblings. You know what his role in the family now is? He now has to step up, whether he likes it or not. That's what happens in our culture. You step up, son. You got to. You got no choice, son. You've got to. I'm too young, Papa. No, you're not. Step up. Let's get it on. Let's start leading the family. Brothers. The same brothers that said they had each other's back at work. But after the funeral, one comes up to me and says, brother, those things were happening on the site almost every day. And our brother got caught. You know what I said to him? I said to him, I'll remember your silence, brother. He goes, oh, what do you mean? I said, you never spoke up. You dropped the ball. So that's the part I'll remember about you. You didn't speak up, brother. His sisters will remember that too. Me and his mum will remember your silence. You never spoke up, brother. You stood in the shadow and you remained quiet. Our lives begin to end the day we remain silent about the things that matter. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Enemies say a lot of things, but when your friends are quiet, that's the concern. I'm going to ask Charlie, can I ask you to come to the front, please, brother? And the reason why I asked Charlie to come to the front is because at the end of the day, he's the leader. And if he's not committed, who else is? So, you know, rather than guess where Charlie sits with it all, I'll just ask him the straight question. And the question goes like this. Brother, will you stand in the gap for your people? It's either yes or no. Yes. Let a man's yes be a yes and his no be a no. But you've all heard it for yourselves. He said yes. So all the guesswork is now out. Because every time you see Charlie doing something and you don't think that might be right, you have the opportunity to go to Charlie now and say, brother, you made a commitment. You said you'll stand in the gap for us. Charlie will say, that's right. Brother, we need to sort it out. But a leader is not a leader without the backing of a family. And at this point in time, you're the family. So the question I have for you all is, will you stand in the gap? Will you have Charlie's back? He has yours. Will you have Charlie's back? Will you have each other's, your brother, sister in front of you, beside you, behind you? What about your beautiful families that are waiting for you now? What about all your tani who you kissed this morning and promised them you'll come home to them? What about the children you might have dropped off to school? They're waiting for you to come home. What about the sports practices that you've got to attend throughout this week? What about the games this weekend you've got to be at? What about their birthdays? What about Father's Day? What about Mother's Day? What about the Christmas parties that are coming up? What about all the social gatherings? What about the hunting, the diving, and every other hobby that you might be involved in? Ah, man, there is so much worth fighting for today. So much. And if you're prepared to stand in the gap for all that what I've just mentioned, I'm going to ask you, can you please stand up now? You know, whānau, academically, I'm thick as two planks. I make no secret about that. But one thing I do know is I definitely walk my talk. So there's no way I'd ask something of you if I can't do it myself. But I've already walked a thorny path for us. You don't have to come with me. You don't have to walk that path. I've already walked it for us. I've been there. I've done it for us. You don't have to follow. I don't want you to follow. I don't want your families to come. Leave them back where they belong. Allow them to enjoy their lives. Is it asking too much for any leader? When you think about leader, you might be thinking about Charlie. Now, I'm talking to Charlie, all right, for the family here, but I'm also talking to you as an individual, as the family of your site, of the leader of your sites and your families, of your hapu, of your iwi, the people you come from. Is it asking too much of any leader to stand tall and be a model before the people, not only in the ordinary aspects of leadership, but in his or her behaviour? If values aren't established and adhered to at the top, behaviour down the ranks is seriously jeopardised and undermined. That's how culture gets wobbly, is when it's not adhered to at the top. Indeed, in any organisation where such is the case, be it a family, a corporation, a society or a nation, the values being neglected will in time disappear. If we do not hold on to the values of what we truly believe in as a people, as a family, those same values will disappear over time. I promise you that. Look at the world. There's enough evidence in the world today where values are being trampled on. There's enough evidence in the world to show us what happens to nations when values are no longer kept intact. In closing, I want to talk to all the fathers in the room. Remember when our sons were born? We are their first heroes. Never forget that. Our daughters, we are their first love. Never forget that. To you mums that are in the room, your sons and mummies, boys, I'm one. We only have one mum. We only got one shot at it. Your daughters want you to set the example so they can follow you in how to raise a family. For you young men, please allow your mum the opportunity to watch you raise a beautiful family. To you young ladies who are not yet married, please allow your papa to walk you down the aisle. Everything that I've spoken of today comes at no money, but it comes at will. It comes with heart. It comes with a desire to survive and not to back down to risk-taking. Why? Because risk-takers are widow makers. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. A boss who took a risk has made my daughter-in-law a widow. A risk-taker is a widow maker. My ancestors said once upon a time, "Hu tea te rito tāra ke kei hea te koma ko e ko ki mai koe kia hau. He aha te mea nui o te ao mā ku e ki atu. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata, ko koe. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa." Thank you. I finish. Habara.
Just like to provide anyone with an opportunity if you've got any questions for you.
Just on questions, can I just say, there's not one question in your mind that is too sensitive to ask. When you've been where we've been, we're prepared to answer any question.
It's sort of sorry for your situation or whatnot. kōrero a few years back. I just want to know, since you've been doing this, have you noticed a change in, say, the way things are going, health and safety wise? You know, it's quite impactful. What effect have you seen from it?
You know, my brother, sometimes the planter of the seed doesn't always get to taste the fruit of his labours. So whilst today I've probably presented over 700 presentations to over 100,000 people in 7 countries, I honestly can't say if the presentation itself has caused people to change or make a shift. What I can say though is speak about my own industry. There has been some significant changes in the forestry industry around health and safety by way of systems, by way of processes, by way of innovation. But the piece that still remains is the people part, it's the cultural part, it's the leadership part. And I've been bold enough to say to my industry, we will still kill people and we will still maim people as long as we have a system where in my industry there's a system where they negotiate over rates. What I mean by that is, and I got a Bushman brother here that will vouch for this, in Blair, is that as long as I put a rate on the table and you put a cheaper rate on the table and that gets accepted, we will still hurt people, brother. You know why? Because the rate that I put on the table includes all my effort to try and protect my people. The contractor that comes in with the less rate, he hasn't put that effort in. That's why he can run it lean. It's up to the integrity of the forestry company to make a choice whether they go for the cheap option or whether they go with the thorough option but pay more. The problem with business today is everybody wants a business class seat but wants to pay economy. That's the problem. And until industries can come away from that type of thinking, then we will have a better chance in the way we look after our people. That's my truthful answer to you, my brother. And I'm no way am I about to lie or make things up to please everybody here, because that's just not how it goes. Yeah.
So there might be an opportunity where people might like to talk to Wiremu discreetly while we have a cup of tea and a kai. Rā, just put on my head and kai ki with the kai.
Mi no e tātou, tāna wits. Nau mai i ngā hua, e horo nei, o te wāo, o te ngākena, o te waitai, o te wai Māori. Nā tāne, nā rongo, nā maru, nā whangaro. Ko rangi nui e tuatu nei, ko papatuna nuku e tākoto nei. Tuturu whakamawa kia tēnā. Tēnā. Haungi e, hui e, tāi ki e.
Well, everybody, thank you very much for your attendance, and wish you all the best going home and reflect. And I believe there's a cup of tea or some juice, some kai out there. Thank you very, very much for that, and thank you, my brother.
So all the food's out in the atrium.